I am Hema, working as assistant professor in CSC department, BS Abdurrahman Present Institute of Science and Technology. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Vijay Rajan. He is working as associate professor in School of Computer Science and Engineering, VIT University, Vellore. He has published more than 45 articles in peer-reviewed journals, which include reputed conference. His current research interests are image retrieval, ontological engineering, operating system, formal languages, and automata theory, wireless sensor network, cloud computing, machine learning, and deep learning. Currently, he is having two funded project. Welcome, sir. Sir, you can proceed. Welcome,
Yes,
sir.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
all. I could understand your situation. Within a single day, all participants are attending 4 sessions. It is very hectic, but I'm not going to try. Instead, I'm going to give good things for your ear and heart. So I have chosen a topic called machine learning for prediction and classification. See, before entering into this topic, see, let us think about our computers. In the years of 1960, there were no computers. At that time, what we have done, see, the mathematicians like our old people, good old people, started writing many models, mathematical models. They are called formal language models, starting from automata theory to Turing machines, automata, and then push-down automata, linear wound automata, everything, sir. So at that time, what they have done was they simply wrote, they provided input. They don't have a physical computer, so some logic will work on that, and it will say that whether the particular input taken is accepted or not accepted, or recognized or not recognized. In that way, they have done. Later, slowly, the hardware components invented newly, and physical computer came at the after Turing thesis. Then Charles Babbage introduced the very first computer. Then we moved on to ENIAC computer, and then so on, mainframe computer, and all other computers came. So the basic von Neumann architecture, people will call it as, that architecture is very simple architecture. The computer is nothing but we are going to give input. It is going to process and produce output. We have a memory connected to that. See, after some time, years passes on, people thought that we got very tired. So why to program very hardly? So let the machine to think, or let it to program. So in that way, we started thinking. So slowly we are moving on to the side of machine learning, make the machine to learn something. So that is called machine learning. But this is going to be a subtopic of artificial intelligence. So AI is a very broad area where machine learning is a subset of that. So today I'm going to take you the machine learning introduction. See, everyone are talking everywhere machine learning, deep learning, and all these jargons come. But you can study the course even in the Coursera and many places. But at least one model you could understand in the way how I understood. Then you will be very strong enough to study any complex model. So that is why I'm going to tell this thing to you. Now, see, it is artificial intelligence subset. So artificial intelligence is nothing but applying logic, and we are going to evaluate different options. See, in life also we are having a lot of options. You have to select one among them, make decisions on its own. When we are asking the computer to take decision, we are dependent on computer. So let me take a chess game. When we are going to play a chess game, we know that the pawns are first to be moved. So 8 pawns are there. We are going to move one step or two steps ahead. So each single move that I am making, when I am feeding this complete information to the computer to play a chess game with me, so I have to give a knowledge to the computer. So providing knowledge is going to be, I'm going to give a data to the computer to get it learn. Okay, once it learn well, then it can compete with me. It can win with me in the chess game. So whenever I'm making a move, there are a lot of next steps will be, if you draw a chess tree, each and every single step move when you are going to proceed with that, what will happen? there are a lot of possible moves get increasing in your tree. So it goes on 10 power 120 number of moves will come after certain stage. So I need to feed my 10 power 120 number of steps to the computer. Then it can play well, even it can defeat the Viswanathan Ananda also. So in this way, we are going to provide things. The evaluating different options are going to be nothing but a search optimization based evaluation. Meaning is that in the search space, I am going to find what are the different possible moves are there, and then let the computer to take its own decision, which is the optimal solution. Let the computer to take it. So how to make the decision is told by the developer, because I am giving the computer all 10 power 120 moves to the computer, but what decision it has to take, I won't tell. So intelligently it will take which is going to be the optimal move. That will be taken by the AI. So AI have reached the topmost level where our human brain, Elon Musk told that a small chip, hair thin chip will be inserted into our brain, and computer is going to capture whatever we are thinking for 10 minutes, whatever I'm thinking through that chip, they could run it in the computer and show that whatever I'm thinking as a video. So in that level, we have reached to the top level in the artificial intelligence. So let us move on to machine learning. So it is a branch of AI. So that is going to take decisions based on data. Very important point is data. Without data, you cannot do machine learning. See, sir, I know machine learning, deep learning, sir. Do I need to apply everything for my research or for my every problem solving? Do I need to use machine learning? No need, sir. See, machine learning, there are some criteria is there where only you can apply machine learning. Simply because of it is a recent topic, we could not apply machine learning to all the places. See, let me say an example. When I'm asking you to solve a particular task using computer, you could write a program, simple C program. Then you no need machine learning. Sir, I can write 50 lines of code, sir. I can solve the problem, sir. I no need machine learning. Even 100 lines of code, 1000 lines of code, 1 lakh lines of code, I can very well develop a software, no need of machine learning. 100% sure, no need of machine learning. Machine learning is required where I don't know, I have a data, but my data is very complex. Let me say the data, very simplest form, I will say Excel data. You know, everybody, Microsoft Excel file. So in that, data is given to you. The world is Excel. Wherever you go in any company, every people are working with the Excel data only. So if the data is given in CSV file or comma separated file or in any format, even visual data is given in image data, also given in Excel like that. Now a question is, if you are a brave soul, you can write a program, and for the very huge data given to you, high dimensional data is given to you. If I could write a program, C program, Python, or Java program, I could write a program and I can bring output, then no need of machine learning is not required, sir. But I am very exhausted. This is a very huge data, lot of columns are there, lot of rows are there. Sir, now I don't know. There are patterns available in the data, but I do not know which mathematical logic I should take in my hand. And I can write a program against this data to produce the output. When I'm not clear, then our mathematicians, statistical people have developed already a predefined mathematical models are available. So they are called going to be machine learning models. You just simply take up that model, okay, feed your input, okay, let your computer to using that model, let the computer to learn it, and then try to approximate the data to that model, fit it, and then it is going to take decisions. So these decisions are not going to be 100% accurate, because some mathematical model randomly has been chosen, or by you are going to be a data scientist with your previous knowledge or experience, or the type of data is going to be linear, non-linear. In that way, you are going to select a data, select a model, and you are going to fit your data to that model and going to produce the output. But if you are selecting a wrong model, then it won't give. The machine was learned stupidly. then it is going to produce its error rate will be very high, as you thought your computer will not work. Okay, so this is what the basic of machine learning. Let us slowly go on that. So the very first book written was 1995 by Australian fellow. So the basic definition theoretically was given as for machine learning is performance on a task improves based on previous data or experience. See, whatever data you are feeding to your computer, that is called the experience to that computer. Based on that only, the machine is going to behave. Its performance or task keep on improving. When you are feeding more data and you are giving more accurate data to the computer to get it trained, you will get a correct output over there. So performance, task, experience are sequentially related to the machine learning definition given. Next, there are three types of machine learning people will very well talk about. One is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So many people knew that supervised learning. Sir, I know whatever the classes, in what way my classification should be. I know class labels are very well. I know very well what are the class labels. Then I can go with supervised learning. My data is very big, sir, but I could not find out how to group them with some relation or with some feature. I do not know. Then I can go very well with unsupervised learning. The reinforcement learning, other way around, it will say about when partial input is there, few classes are there, and partial information is not there. Slowly, I don't know anything about the data, but slowly, I will make mistakes. From mistakes, I will try to learn and grade the system slowly with my mistakes, and the reinforcement learning will come into picture. See, we are very closely working with the image processing and visual information systems. Why? Because your human brain always think everything in the form of image or video. If you are thinking sitting and you are thinking about your school days, how the data will be processed in your brain. It will be like an image. You are thinking about some person. It will be a photograph, or some situation where you have moved with that person will become as a video. So brain is mostly processing the image or video data to be processed. Those data is going to be a very huge data. So one image itself 512 cross 512, then it will have a lot of pixels and so on. So we need to improve our computer system also. So CPU processing is not enough. We need GPU and so on. So even we are going to use machine learning or deep learning, we need GPU machines to process those type of very huge data. And let me say a supervised example, very simple way. Let me say I'm giving a lot of images to the computer to train first as an image. Puneet, let me say a person name is Puneet, and all the images of Puneet face seeing in the forward view, side view, top view, bottom view, everything I have trained with the machine. You are giving unknown, untrained image of a Puneet is given. Definitely your computer should say that this is a Puneet image. Whenever you are giving other images, it should say that this is not a Puneet. In that way, the data with the input and the output should be given to the computer to get it trained. Then it is going to tell us the output for that. See, let me say now we will split our data as a comma separated value you have taken in your Excel sheet as sum of your rows. See, all rows are going to be a lot of data. Let me say 10,000 data is there. Every column is going to be one feature. Even in data mining, we will call it as in database management system also, we will call it as rows and columns. The columns are going to be attributes. Those attributes are going to be features. And now we can call it as features. See, whatever the data is given to you, first analyze. I could not write a software program to solve the problem, or I could not write a program to get output. Point number 2, I will see in the data, maybe the last column will be the output. Meaning is that when you are giving a data to be trained for a computer, it should be a complete data. Meaning is that I have to tell that if one input is this, then this is the output. second input is this, then this is what the output, the third input, like that. I'm giving a 1 lakh data. So when let the computer reads this lot of inputs and its appropriate or its proportional outputs, if you provide both of them, so your data need to be splitted into two parts. X is going to be your input and your output column is going to be called as Y. Okay, so normally the output column will be like a classification. If it is a classification task, then class 1 or 2 or 3, like that it has to tell. So the last column will be always going to be the output column. The remaining n minus 1 number of columns are going to be the input. I can combine all the input as X data. So X, Y is going to be the output. Now I am providing this X to the computer and also along with the output also. Now I have many models because I could not pin it down mathematically, so I am seeking the help of machine learning models are available. So let me say a lot of models are available, starting from linear regression to support vector machines and decision tree algorithm to random forest and other deep learning models will come into picture. So any model you can choose it. So the model is nothing but we are going to make the model to learn from the input that we are providing, and I'm asking it to find, it is a function, mathematical function f of x, to predict my y. So when I'm giving a unknown input is given, these are all x and y are known input is supplied to the computer. Now the computer learned, when I'm giving an unknown input, small x is given, it needs to predict the small y, what is going to be my required output over there. So in our good olden days onwards, we are learning from our human brain. When our mom or our elementary school teacher told A should be written in this way, this is a color called red, or this is a color called black, like that everyone told. So our human cells understood everything and it is stored in our brain. But human understanding, see, artificial intelligence, people are trying to mimic the brain, but there is a flaw in this. That is why we are getting an error, and all machine learning, deep learning models are not getting succeeded like the human brain. The flaw is nothing but whatever I'm looking in the real world. Okay, the sunlight is falling on that object, and the refracted light I'm going to view from my eyes. Eye has rod cells and cone cells. Automatically, it will be connected with my visual cortex, and brain is, everything goes into brain is going to be biological signal. So after that, it will reach to the neuron. That biological neuron is completely different from the artificial neuron that these mathematicians and scientists are talking about. This neuron is going to be with some input we are providing, one bias function will be there, then weight updation will happen and it is going to produce output. But the flaw is the biological neuron was not perfectly modeled in this artificial neuron. So that itself the gap starts. So with that artificial neuron mathematics, we are making the computer to understand whatever the things are there in the world. No, so that error rate will be multiplicity. It is going to be get increased, so that we are getting error rate when we are training a computer with some data. Okay, so this is basic understanding. See, after if you train your machine like to understand what image is that, you have given images, many images like rabbits like this, but sometime your computer will get to fail to identify cat out of rabbit, because the color features it will try to first capture, then color, texture, shape and all. Sometimes the object is going to be very similar, then if you have not given more rabbit images in different angles, then it may try to get a wrong output also. So this is about supervised learning. And coming to unsupervised learning is going to be here. The complete is what fits the distribution, I don't know, because the total input is given. Let me say I'm giving you a lot of coins. It's a common example explained in all the books. I'm giving you different sizes of coins of Indian rupee. If I give you, 5 is written, this is 5 paise coin, this is 10 paise coin, 1 rupee coin, like that. If I'm giving you a Romanian coin, then you don't know maybe what is written in the coin. At that time, I'm asking you to discriminate. As a human brain, how will it do? it will see the size of the coin or color of the coin. Based on some feature, it will try to extract it. So in machine learning, there are a lot of classification algorithms like unsupervised learning algorithms, like clustering algorithm will solve these type of problems over there. So you know something is abnormal by learning the normal way. So I could not know how to classify it. Then normal way you proceed with that. At certain point you will get the output. Okay, so there are going to be lot of real-time examples are there where anomalies identifying in bank transactions and the zigzag puzzle without knowing the final picture where to go in the zigzag thing, like that. If the final output is not given, only the input is given, in that problem you can apply unsupervised learning. But classes are given in the problem, people will go with supervised learning only. But some people are very crazy. Even in the class labels are also there. They will go and apply unsupervised learning algorithms also. And reinforcement learning is another way that see, it is learning a bicycle. At the very first time your dad gave the bicycle, asked you to learn by yourself. First time you will pedal, you will fall down. Second time you fall down, and you will understand after some time, okay, if I manage my hip like this, I will not get down from the cycle. Like that you will try to learn. So data is not given, or perform experiments and collect the data. You have to collect the data by getting the feedback from the user, or like that. Systems are going to be reinforcement learning. Mostly the reinforcement learning systems are going to be dynamic programming based. They are all gaming related applications. So reinforcement learning are. So real-time examples are playing cricket at very first time, or football, or playing cycle. See, sir, to study machine learning, I need to be a mathematician, sir? No need, sir. Few elementary school level mathematics is more than enough. Let me say differentiation is more than enough. So if you know our school level thing, y equal to x square, if you differentiate with respect to x, will be 2x. We know well that. Suppose I am giving like this, constant is separately there, then it is going to be 0. Differentiating a constant will give 0. This is more than enough. I'm giving you, let me say, when I'm giving x square plus v square with respect to x, when you are doing the very first component will be 2x, but the second component is 0 because you are going to differentiate with respect to x, so 0. Here with respect to x you are doing, so the remaining things will be constant, so you are getting as dx by dx is 1 is going to be 2v you are getting over there. See, with respect to the problem related, you can learn mathematics ad hocly. You no need to know a lot of mathematics is not required. So that is the positive side. So if it is going to be the complete x square is there, let me say x is the complete term, then 2 into that x you have to keep it, and the differentiation of the inner part should be there. So these are all a few things. Differentiation is applied in machine learning. Apart from that, probability is mostly applied, and 30% probability is being applied, then remaining 60% will be applied completely statistics. So mean, median, mode, standard deviation, to all statistics will be applied over there. So wherever required, you try to, if you are going to use a Navy based algorithm, then go and study the conditional probability. Ad hocly you can learn when you are going to apply a model. There is no wrong on that. Now let us get into supervised learning over there. The supervised learning is going to be again divided into, see, because in world most of the problems are being machine learning problems are solved using supervised learning algorithm. So let us see that categorization rather than going for unsupervised learning, because in this 1.5 session I could not complete all three reinforcement learning and everything. So let us take narrow down our problem statement. Supervised learning, see, it has two parts. One is regression problem, another one is classification problem. See, people will confuse you giving you a data, and they will ask you, can you apply a classification with this data or a regression with this data? Is a good question. So how to find that? If your data is going to be discrete, then very well it is a classification problem. The way to identify your data output class is going to be discrete, then it is a classification problem. Rather, your output class is going to be continuous, then it is going to be a regression problem. That means that some prediction you can make out of that data. You cannot do classification. You can only do with regression. So this is what from my side I can very well explain the regression problem. Also, I will explain classification. See, once you see my lecture later, whatever the machine learning problem you try to take it in your real time, you will be feel proud to understand the problem. Okay, so machine learning models for classification I will be taking. Now, the very first point I would like to tell is that in this agenda is machine learning, components of learning, and simple model and types of learning we are going to see. See, essence of machine learning, three things, based on three things. I already told that. If you are knocking my door, even at the midnight, if you are having a data, then there is a business. We can make a machine to learn it, and we can build a model. You don't have a data, then there is no use of machine learning. And without data, no business. So point number two, in your data, there must be some pattern exist in the data. You could not find the pattern, then you cannot apply machine learning. Let me say your data is going to be completely random. If you give that data to ask the computer to learn, it cannot bring out any of the mathematics or any of the model. Whenever it is applying, it could not get fit into that data. So if there is no pattern, you cannot apply machine learning. And point number three is very, very important. Sir, I could write a program, then no machine learning is required. Sir, I could not pin it down mathematically, sir, then you can go with machine learning. So these 3 points are essential when some of your research scholar or someone is bringing a data to you. You have to see these 3 points are there. Data is there, okay, from UCA repository or somewhere benchmark data set is available, very well. Then ask the student to apply the pattern exists or not. Okay, everything is there. Then input is there, output is there, so pattern is there. Okay, then it is very big data, huge data. The student cannot write a code to find output out of that. So then you can ask them to go for machine learning. So in the years of 2005, because machine learning started booming up at 1995, but throughout the world, when real-time applications started using in the years of 2005. So you know Netflix company, in 2005 they have declared one competition. They are having a machine learning model, but that is a very basic model. They declared that they want to improve their movie rating to be improved. When Netflix is going to tell for a future movie is coming, if they rate it very accurately, how the users are going to rate a movie, if they could predict, they would make a lot of money out of it. So they declared $1 million. We will give our data, complete data from 1980s to all movies, and each and every movie, how it was rated by every viewer. Let me say a particular movie, X movie is rated by n number of viewers, then that data will be given year-wise to you. Second is what machine learning model they are using, they will explicitly give to you, but they are giving only 80% accuracy. They want to improve that their model by 10%. If you improve the accuracy, then they will be ready to give you $1 million. So this is called a movie rating problem. So every viewer will try to rate a movie based on comedy, whether it is which actor or it is having a blockbuster, or whether who is going to be the hero, heroine, and many other, how much romantic is there, any other features, everything will be there, every user. Let me say a particular X movie was rated, it is having a lot of comedy, but some viewer is going to rate it very less. That means that he doesn't like that comedy. So like that, every viewer are viewing, let me say viewers are n number of viewers are going to rate a X movie. You have now n number of data about the movies with you. Now you need to correlate all of them to predict what is going to be the correct movie rating you need to build. Now data is very vast. Again, the same problem, the 3 points, whatever we have discussed is come into picture. You need to apply a machine learning model. Then you have to fit that data given by Netflix. If your accuracy is going to be precision and recall is going to be good, and then you will be the winner for that $1 million. Oh, okay, so that is what. So here, what machine learning model I can apply and make it to learn. So I need to rate. So every viewer are going to rate a movie. Many viewers are going to rate a movie, and I know well that the similar movies are there. How those movies are already being rated by the similar type of viewers. All these things are interrelated, correlated. So pattern exists in this problem. So by understanding all these things, then we are going to build a model over there. So we are not going to find a solution over there. This is a very old problem, 2005 years of 2005 problem. Now, recently the demonetization happened. So let us take a problem of financial forecasting related problem. So if the Indian government have decided if we do demonetization, what will happen if they try to apply it in some machine learning model and with all sorts of input and everything, and whether can we do it or not, like things can be done by in real time using this machine learning model. Here we have taken a problem, credit approval problem, which is nothing but a bank would like to give a credit for some new customer or not. They are going to decide now. See, they are having from 1980s to now current date, the bank is having a data of all the customer who got already the loan, and with a few might have not returned back the credit also. Their data is also there. Nirav Modi kind of guys also absconded. That data is also there in your data, assume. Okay, and very good citizens like us have already repaid the loan. Data is also available from 1980 to 2020 is there. Now I am giving all this data to you. Now you need to make a machine learning model to find out an unknown person is coming with a salary of, let me say, 12 lakh per annum is coming. Now he is applying for a loan of 30 lakhs. He is trying with some X bank. Now, can we approve this credit or not? The bank need to now take a decision. See, not because of he is getting a 12 lakh per annum CTC is getting. If they are giving a loan like by only seeing their CTC,
Sir, your
getting
audio
to happen at any point of time, the loan seeker may get into a problem of unemployability, get actually they cannot repay the loan also. So many things are there. So the bank has to come up with a very good machine learning model to come with that. So this is the 3 points again. So we need to check out whether the pattern exists. Yes, pattern exists, because there are many people with the different attributes are given, and how much their salary and how much loan they got, and whether they have repaid or not, good customer or bad customer history is with me. And then we cannot pin it down mathematically. Data is very big, 1982 now, then there are crores of data, number of rows of data available. Now we have data on it. Now we need to formalize it. How to formalize? So input is customer application. The customer application is this thing, this table I'm giving, etc., etc. About one customer, the complete attributes given are going to be the input, and the output. See, 1982 now I have whether a customer is good or bad. That column is there in that Excel data. Let me say there are 50 columns. 51st column is going to be a good customer or bad customer is there. Now I need to fix my target function. See, I do not know from this data whether to find a standard deviation or can I take a mean or median mode. I do not know, but I know that I'm fixing a target function to find out from this data what mathematical statistics will very well fit. I need to find out. So my data is there. Let me say the X is going to be 50 columns, age, the customer name, and then other attributes. The Y is going to be whether a particular person is a good or bad. So similarly, I have crores of customer data is with me. The Y is representing only good customer or bad customer. Now I'm going to talk about hypothesis. See, all machine learning model, there is going to be explicit component called the hypothesis, where this hypothesis, the keeping the hypothesis don't have any downside. Rather, you are having a hypothesis will be helping you your input space, how to minimize your input space of your input to take a correct decision. So my target function is unknown. For the given input, what will be the correct model to predict the output is unknown. Target function is unknown. But I know some of the hypotheses that will help my learning algorithm to find out from many hypotheses I can make. Initially, the unknown customer is coming. I may take him as, hypothesis will be, I may assume that that fellow is a good customer, and then I can apply him to that data. Finally, I will find out him as a bad customer. After some time, I may take him as a good customer, will result with bad customer. I'm assuming in the reciprocal way also. So what can I do? So I will be having many hypotheses like this with the input data. Let me say your machine learning model is taking the 1980s first customer, and it is going to fit that input value will be compared with the unknown person data you are taking now. The X customer is unknown. It will try to very first time, it will try to find whether what is the error rate when comparing these two customers. It will keep it. Then when the machine learning model tries to take the second data, third data, fourth data, 1 lakh, 1 crore, and all the data, when it is being taking, the hypothesis starts changing. Means with one data, I will say that the customer is also good and I can make a decision. When I'm feeding the second data to make the machine to learn, the hypothesis changes. So finally, my the hypothesis set, I'm having lot of hypotheses. My hypothesis set slowly keeps on changing when I'm feeding one data, second data, third data. I'm giving crores of data. My learning algorithm is trying to approximate my hypothesis, which is going to be very close to the final fit. And this is going to be the model is learned. Now, if you have learned well with this crores of data, you give as many unknown data, definitely the model will give a correct output for that, correct prediction it will make out of that. So this is what all these machine learning models are going to do. So people will call it as underfit, overfit. If you give less amount of data to make your model to learn, then you will be underfit. That means that it cannot get more randomness, it cannot find from the data. If you give a huge data, then it will be learning from that deviation or variation, it can very well learn it. The overfitting will come from if you are giving very falsy data to your computer, then it will try to learn from noises. So this is going to be result with overfitting and your accuracy will not come as good. So this is what machine learning model thing. So initially my hypothesis can be anything, but when you are feeding more data to the computer, automatically your machine learning model learning from each and every input, it will approximate to that. Sir, what is this learning algorithm, sir? What is this hypothesis set, sir? Very simple. Your learning algorithm is a perceptron learning algorithm, and your hypothesis set can be a very simple linear data. If linear data will be going to be a perceptron learning algorithm, or if it is going to be a support vector machine, radial basis function will be the hypothesis for that. So similarly, if I'm taking my model is going to be a decision tree, then there will be entropy and other information gain kind of parameter will be come as a picture for hypothesis set over there. So this is what the basic. Let us now formalize our input taken. So the credit approval formula, I have n number of customers. So I will approve the credit if my threshold is, let me say I have to fix a threshold. If he is getting more than 20 lakh per annum as a salary, then we will approve the credit like that. Blindly, my initial hypothesis will be blindly fixed based on only the salary. Then that is the threshold I am fixing, greater than 20 lakh CTC, approve credit. If WI and XI all the input will be converted into a matrix. Later that we are going to manipulate with only matrix manipulations we are going to do. So we are going to approve credit. The customer weight 1 he is a good at age. Age is very less age, 23. Then there is a chance that that fellow will repay the loan. Some fellow is 65 age, 63, and asking for 30 lakhs loan, he may die. So all these parameter, every x1, x2, x3, x4, like that, every parameter of a customer with weightage were there. I'm considering that only one parameter greater than some threshold I'm fixing. I'm going to deny if it is less than threshold, then I'm going to deny the thing over there. Now, in order to make it as a formula kind of thing, we can make it as how to find if the threshold is greatest value, then what will happen in the formula. According to the formula, if the weightage is going to be a greater number, then you will get a positive sign. Otherwise, if the threshold is greater, then what will be the output? A sign will be negative. In that way, I'm slightly changing the formula. Now I am moving on to this diagram. Says that the data is very linear, whether good customer and bad customers are denoted by positive plus symbols are good customers, negative symbols are bad customer, and my purple line is going to be my hypothesis. Initially, I have set it with a salary of greater than 20 lakh without any glitch I have taken. And now this is going to be, we know well that as per the previous problem, the sign of this we have taken. And see, in order to operate with computer, computer arithmetic always starts from 0. So to make it as the very first coordinate as artificial coordinate as W0, and when you are multiplying it with 1, so I equal to 0 to D, then the total thing, this is starting from 1 to D. In order to convert it from I equal to 0 to D, no problem. I'm adding a value. This value can be even x0 is 1. So W0 x0 is going to be only W0, without which will not change, because this is very huge value. So it will not change it. For operational feasibility, we are adding that. Now, you know well that when we are multiplying two matrices, one important factor we need to find out, the first matrix column will be equal to the second matrix row. So in that way, then we will transpose it and then we will try to multiply it. We know the matrix multiplication will happen in the number in the way we are writing as 7. Okay, row with column. So in that way it will happen. So your algorithm is going to be a simple perceptron learning algorithm. Let me say, you don't bother about the algorithm. See, in machine learning, one advantage is that what is the mathematical model written inside, I need not to know. Only thing is that I have a data, I can take some model, fit the data with that, and I am going to make a prediction out of that. So you no need to worry about that, but you are doing a research exclusively on machine learning models, then you need to learn a lot of mathematics related to that model. So here the sign of WT, suppose, let me say, when we are running the machine, let me say, here at the initial hypothesis, it is taking a data sample one by one. At that time, it is going to adjust the weight vector at each of its iteration. It is finding that this good customer should be this side, and these two bad customers to be this side. Then this purple line slowly changes. The hypothesis changes. Then one good customer, after some time, the line will come like this here. Then it may be assuming that one bad customer is at the right side. Then slowly, then more inputs are given. It is going to change its weight. Let me say a good customer is at the wrong side, or bad customer is at the good side. What it will do, simply in this matrix, it is going to use this Y, making it as positive or negative to make the weight adjustment will happen, to minus it, to decrease it, or to increase it, so that the good and bad customer will be moved. It will pick a misclassified point. So in machine learning, you will be no iterations, and then epochs are also there. So every epochs, all these misclassified points are going to be corrected, and the error rate will be minimized. At a certain point, I could not minimize the error rate. See, initially when I'm taking my hypothesis, the error is very high because some bad customers are good side, one good customer is at bad side. See, after some time, I'm trying to learn. So after this place, what is going to happen? See, my hypothesis changed, but still 99% only I'm getting accuracy because one good customer is at the bad side over there. So when it's epochs run, automatically the misclassified point is training point is picked up, and you are going to change your hypothesis slightly. This line equation will come here, and then this plus will go to this side. Then perfectly you will get a line like this. Now the model is well trained with minimal error over there or no error over there. According to the diagram, the model don't have any error over there, but in reality, at least some error will be there over there. So the algorithm running is called perceptron learning algorithm. I'm not going to give what is a perceptron over here. Perceptron is a simple neuron, human brain neuron model with which people are started taking it to give data and ask it to learn over there. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to give your data, go for a coffee, go to canteen. After some time, let the computer to learn, come and give your unknown data. It will correctly predict that. That's it. So we became lazy by using machine learning models. Let the computer do that. To make a learning and make a prediction out of that. So this is what called classification. Sir, what are the different types of classifications are available? We can say that multi-layer perceptrons are on there, neural network models are there, and then radial basis function is there, and support vector machines are there, decision tree, then decision tree forests are there. Then we can move on to deep convolutional neural network, RNN, CNN, and a lot of other models are out there in deep learning, and people are moving on to transfer learning. See, I don't have a very good computer to train a very big data. I'm not very good like Google. So Google ImageNet is there. So they have trained and pre-trained number of layers will be given to you, which is called transfer learning. They have done it for common natural scenery images. They have done it. You can take that learning and the prediction values and all, you can apply it to another application. It's called transfer learning. Now people are talking about federated learning also. Federated learning is nothing but some hospital is doing some research. They are having their own deep learning model, but they don't want to reveal their data because their patient data is very critical for them and they cannot reveal it outside. They will make a model to learn it, and only the partially learned and model will be given to you. You can give an unknown model, unknown input to that model. You can build out of that, and you can find the output. You will get only values from them. It's called federated learning. So like that, this machine learning went into another deep dimension over there. Here, optimization is happening inside the machine learning. We have to understand that when you are giving one data, maybe more error will be there. When you have given only one data, ask the machine to learn. Two data, third data, fourth data, thousands of data. Now your machine is going to minimize its error in such a way it has to move in a positive direction to minimize the error. Suppose you are giving input data, the machine is taking a way that it is increasing its error rate, then it is called false learning, or the other way around, negative learning will happen. So optimization will come into picture. You know, people know the convex problem, non-convex problems are there. These are all global optimization problem where some search algorithm may stuck up with local minima. Then it may think that it is like a particular cow is tied with a knot and it is eating the grass. There are many cows are put into that grass field. You assume in that way. This cow will think that, oh, there are more cows, crowded cows are there. It may assume that there is going to be more grass, rich grass is there. That cow will think that here there is going to be a crowded cows are there, like that. So, but it is tied with a knot, so it can eat in its radius only. It is called local minima. But when the knot is cut out, it can go with a global minima. It can go roam around there in the huge grass field and find out where the more grass is there. Like that, the problems will also stuck up with local minima. We need to find out, come out from. Some of the machine learning models will stuck up with local minima. Let me say, it cannot find the global optimization solution. Our neural network model will stuck up with the local minima. The support vector machine can easily come out with local minima problem. So depending on the machine learning model, you can, in its literature itself, you can find that whether this algorithm will provide me what type of optimization over there. Beyond that, genetic algorithms are there, particle swarm optimization is there, bee colony, ant colony, and more number of algorithms are available. Okay, so this is what I would like to tell about the classification problem. So you can choose any one of the problem. Sir, you have told very theoretically, you have told drying theory, sir. Now I want to really build a model. I want to experiment it with that, so that I will get a more confident on machine learning model. We will take the next thing is called linear regression problem. I already told that this is also a classification problem where the data outputs are going to be continuous. Let me say the car is running with let me say some speed, okay, in a race. I'm asking every one of you in which speed the car is running. One person will say that 150 kilometer, other person will say that no, it is 160, the other person will say that 180, no, it is 200. Like that, everyone will try to give. So how can I define the output of this type of linear problem, like regression problem? I may say that the car speed may be 150 to 200 miles per hour. Like that I can say. Similarly, when we are going to evaluate a house with pricing, I cannot exactly tell what price it is with the square feet calculations and all. I may say that it may be 10 lakh because it is 1200 square feet and it is residing in the outskirts of a village, and it's not neither a village nor city limit, so we can give 20 lakhs per 20 lakhs. So like that you can, these are all called regression problems. Okay, let us take a supervised learning with the regression problem. I already told you that there are going to be a input data will be given to you. It is an Excel sheet. So let me take a very simple problem with two column input. Two column input means first column is going to give you to represent some attribute and or feature. The second column will be your output. Like that we will take the univariate house rate prediction problem. We will take it in that because it is very easy to learn the machine learning model, because the output is going to be like this. So I may say that once again I will come to my desktop. Yeah, can you see my screen? I hope so. Here the size of the house is given in square feet is given to you. So I'm this is going to be the size of the house is given, and the price of the house in lakhs are given. So 502 square feet house in a city limit is going to be 6.3 lakh, or village limit is like that. Like that, there are a lot of house information with their price has been given to you. Now we are going to build a model, the linear regression model, to solve this problem. So that is what we are going to do now. The thing is that I'm coming to yeah. So the prediction steps are very narrow. They are, the data should be there. You need to pre-process the data. See, suppose your data is having some noises, you need to pre-process that. And some second point will be data visualization. Data visualization is very, very important for a data scientist, data science engineer, because unless otherwise I could not visualize the data, I cannot find the statistical information about the data or distribution about the data over there. So what will happen? I cannot fit a correct model, select a correct model over there. So data visualization is very, very important. Third point is defining the model. I need to define whether it is a linear data, then simple line equation is okay, or exponential equation is okay. Like that, I need to pick up the mathematical equation. Fourth point will be calculating the error. So if I fit my input data to that model taken, that equation cost function is taken, will it fit perfectly? How much error is coming? Then I need to make the other input data to go and learn. See, when one input is taken, two input is taken, the error rate should go in a minimal direction. So I need to find out the gradient. Gradient is nothing but when there is a function is there in mathematics, if you are going to do a derivation with respect to x and y, if it is a 2D data, then it is called nothing but a gradient. If you make a small change in with respect to x and what it will impact in with respect to y, that computation is called a gradient, nothing else. So your gradient descent function should make you to go in optimal direction when it is learning to minimize the error over there. So minimize the error to get the optimized parameter values. Working with that model, we need to find out, and then finally my model is built and very well trained. Test it with your input data, unknown data to be taken, and you are going to predict the output out of that model. For this, people will give you a data. There will be what one? Hello. Here the predicting the thing will be, data will be given to you. Data may have thousands of data or lakhs of data may be there, but the thing is that how much data can I take it for make the machine to train, and how much data that I can validate to test the machine. So the people are going with 60-30, sorry 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10 in that way. So the more 60% you will train with your data, remaining 40% you will try to test whether your model is giving a correct output or not. That you will try to test it. 70-30, 70% you try to train. So like that we are going to do the thing. Now let us try to model. So the mathematical function is very simple, and f of x equal to y. Our f of x is our input data and y will be the predicted output. See, I have in my Excel data that I have shown to you. In my Excel data, you know well that x, all the x are going to be square feet, and y is going to be the thing called lakhs, rupees in lakhs over there. So I'm feeding those inputs. My model is built. You assume that we will define mathematically the model. Don't worry. Now it needs to find out the, when I'm giving a x new, when the model is ready, when it is built, f of x equal to y is fit to that model. X new is given. It needs to find out the y new. So we need to do representation of data. Very first thing is we need to represent. So data linear. Can I use a simple line equation y equal to mx plus c? Yes, obviously you can use that. Sometime that data distribution is like this. When I am visualizing, it is going to be like exponential. Then which model with mathematics I can use? Y equal to e power minus theta x can be utilized. In previous thing is going to be linear, so y equal to mx plus c is used here. So you know m is the slope of the line, and c is going to be the intercept of that line. Okay. So that is the thing we are going to represent that. So when we are coding it, so we are going to import some packages. So to do this, very simple way, the tools required are Jupyter Notebook, which is the one of the part of Anaconda Navigator. You install Anaconda Navigator, and then Jupyter Notebook will be there. Python 3 you need to install. Whatever the version you would like to install, you try to install, but don't go for 3.8. It is not stabilized. Go with the 3.5. Okay. After that, you are going to input some packages. The NumPy package will do all mathematical calculations. See, we are living in a component-based era. I should not write small functions and all. I should not waste my time by writing a coding. So all packages I can use, which are all existing. There is a pandas header file will help you to package, will help you to manipulate or getting input and producing the output. Pandas will help you. Raw data taking will be handled by pandas, and giving the output in plots will be taken care by matplotlib.pyplot will help you. So Jupyter Notebook is denoted over here, and it is going to be, there is a symbol called a plus symbol, which will try to make you to insert more number of columns over there. In interactive Python, at a time you can type only one command here and you can execute. But in Jupyter Notebook, you can type first command, second line of your code, third line of your code, and you can run even a single command run next, or you can run as a whole. So you can build your model in Jupyter Notebook like this. That is going to be shown here. and some of the package that has been used, OS package, which will make you to get a Pandas directly can read a data. So I may show you how this thing is taken over there. Input this my calculation over there. Okay, so this is what the coding. So everything whatever I have shown here is going to be given in one of the cell of the Jupyter notebook over there. I have imported all the necessary packages over there, all of them. Here the command line will be the percentage symbol will be given over there. Now raw data will be, I'm holding my input data. Excel sheet name is Chennai underscore house underscore univariate train.csv. Now the function to read that data is, see, it is simple assignment statement. So CSV was read and stored in raw data. Now this dot head function will told that whether this data was pushed into this variable or not. That I need to know now. So that head function will help you. Head will always denote you the first 5 elements stored in the data. If you give 100, then if your inputs are in your CSV file is having 100 input will come here over there. So this is what the very first time we are going to do. First step, we are going to do that. Second point, what you are going to do, you are going to find from the statistical information available from the data. See, the data was given with different square feet and their rate has been given. Now I need to know what is the statistics. So your Jupyter notebook will give you mean, median, standard deviation, and all these things will be given to you. If you know statistics well, from this itself you can select your model, whether the linear model will be applicable or can I go to any other model like that. So this is one of the visualization. Raw data dot describe will help you to do that. And then the next step will be you are going to plot it and you are going to visually see how the data distribution is there. So this is what the distribution. It clearly tells that the data is very linear. So see, sometimes the data has been given to you in the scale of 500 to 500 square feet to, if you see your input data, it will be starting from 500 to some around 2000, like that. The data distribution was given in that way. So I want to normalize it. So you know, every statistical people will use normal normalization will be done by the raw data is our data taken. So now hereafter, after normalization, in between 0 to 1, like this, with a 0 to 1, I'm normalizing from 500 to 2000, or in crore or whatever it may be given, need to be normalized for our simplicity of computation. This normalization is the raw data minus its mean. In the numerator, you are going to subtract its mean by your max value will be subtracted with the minimum. So that will be the, hereafter we can call the data as normal data. Up to this, I have called my data taken in my CSV was raw data. Now hereafter I am going to call the data as raw data was taken. So when you are going to data.head will be within the value of between 0 to 1. You no need to understand that, but you can visualize it. It is also giving the same visualization with a different scale. So that is nothing else. And now I want to see, after loading it into the data, my input is now data.shape. I want to see whether what type of matrix is it. It is a 97 cross 2 matrix, means 97 rows are there in my Excel and 2 columns are there. We know well that first column is the square feet, given how square feet is given. Second column is going to be what our price was given over there. Now let us come to my presentation over there. So what is going to happen? I will come to the next point. We have plotted and run all. You can do run all or run one cell also at a time. Now I'm seeing that pre-processing in our data, it is very clean data. Pre-processing, you will be eliminating all. Some data is missing. You need to fill it with 0 or some values. All numerical values. You have to use missing data filling techniques are available. You need to adopt all of them, or separate inputs from output is also called a pre-processing. our input is 97 cross 2, but only one column is input, that is square feet is input. The output column, which is nothing but is going to be called as the output. So we need to split it. So what I'm going to do after doing all these things over there, now my model is going to be linear model. Y equal to mx plus c will be written in this way, theta naught plus theta 1 x over there. You need to understand why we are using this line equation. If you change the parameter theta naught and theta 1, if you are changing, the slope of the line will change. If you give in this way, the line will go like this. If you give 0 and 1, the line will go in this way. So all these things are based on intercept. So we are taking it. Due to time, I will quick go. And the linear equation was taken over there. Now I'm telling the error. The error is nothing but I have learnt my data with 97 input. Now I'm going to find unknown input is coming. That output will be compared with the that is going a model built output. What is the difference I am getting? So it's going to be called as the error aim. Our machine model's aim is to minimize this error. So for different values of theta naught and theta 1, we are going to minimize the error over there. So our hypothesis slightly changes and the line equation is going to slightly move and fit to the data very well after some time. So the error is nothing but going to be your model's fitted data's function with minus the unknown output, unknown inputs output. Okay, so the ith data's error will be computed in this way. So predicted, so error can be simply defined as predicted output minus the expected output. So that is what the difference. Squared error will be computed in this way, summation of all the errors you are going to function, errors you are going to compute minus the expected one you are going to compute over there. So the error is nothing but mathematically we are taking it as 1 by 2m summation of the total error square. So purposely here 2m was given because when you are going to find the gradient descent, the derivation step will produce you one more 2 over there. To cross it, we are having 1 by 2m f of x minus y the whole square we are going to find. This is called squared error function. Now we are going to move further. Now in my input data, I am going to separate my input data 97 cross 2, x is there, y is there, two things are there. Now I'm going to define my function. So this is called the cost function. The cost function is to minimize the error. 1 by 2m summation of f of x minus y the whole square. Actual output minus predicted output. So actual output is given with 97 data. Now you are giving an unknown input to your model, you are getting some output. The difference between these two outputs are going to be called as the error. Now I'm coming to, so this shape function will help me to split the data into two parts. So data dot shape can help me to split the data. So when you are seeing in this, so if I use data dot shape will give that. After that, I'm going to insert one number of ones in one column. I will tell why we are going to insert number of one in that column actually. Okay, it is coming here and 1 by 2m, we know well that. See, when we are going to multiply something, x naught is going to be, theta naught is going to be multiplied with x naught, is going to be a matrix multiplication. So here in our equation, we are having a theta parameters are theta naught and theta 1. But our inputs are going to be one row, which is called only square feet given over there. So 97 cross 2 is going to be multiplied. This column is not matching with this one. So I am going to transpose this theta. We cannot multiply. So I am transposing it and make it like this. Now the column of the first matrix is going to be matched with the row of the second matrix. So we can very well do that. After that, I'm inserting one number of ones in the very first column. Why I am inserting is when I am the number of input in our input data is going to be only a single column. X is only the square feet was taken, but when we are trying to multiply it with the x and y over there to give the same value over there. I'm giving inserting 1 over there. Suppose we are doing a matrix addition, then this column will be zeros, because adding 0 with any number will be same number. When we are doing a multiplication, multiplying with 1 will not change the value. So that is what over there. So I'm inserting number of ones over there. So now I'm going to separate the data. Our input data is X and Y column with 97 rows and 2 columns are there. First column will be separated using the slicing operation of Python. You are taking that first column, put it into X, and the remaining column, after all rows, 97 rows, the column means all rows will be selected from 0 to column minus 1. Our columns are 0 and 1. So 0 and 1, so that is 0. 0th column will be taken. Remaining will be taken. Column minus 1 to the remaining column will be taken into. So X and Y was now separated over there. So your X will be holding this. Now, up to now, what we have done is a CSV file with that we worked. But for doing the Python NumPy to work with that, we need to convert it into matrix. So np.matrix and np.matrix of y, the two matrix separated now. Input is one matrix, output is one matrix. So now, if you want to see how many number of columns are there in your data, if you put a print of that columns, then it will say that 3 columns. Which are the 3 columns? Number of ones inserted, and then going to be the square feet are given, and then price is given over there. Now, when you are splitting, your input will have number of ones and square feet, and the output will be as separate. So after doing all these operations, and my theta equation, theta equal to, I'm writing np.matrix of my theta is theta naught plus theta 1 x will be written in this way. Now I have separated now 97 cross 2 is all ones, and followed by square feet given there, and the second one is going to be my output is going to be given over there, and the 97 cross 1 is also there. This 1 cross 2 is nothing but my theta 1 comma theta 2. So it is a row matrix. So one row is there, theta 1 and theta 2 is there. This is theta, and this is going to be output. In that way, I have separated. So any machine learning model, when you are going to operate with the program, you need to separate the data with the input and the model parameter that you are going to work with like this. Third is going to be your output. Like that, you have to separate. Okay. After that, I am going to compute the error. I said no. The learned output will be predicted output will be going to be the learned output will be compared with the predicted output. So that deviation I'm going to find in Python. I'm going to convert it in this way. So if you know Python, you can I'm defining a function using def keyword, and the x and y, theta and all parameter I'm simply passing from my previous step over there. So this is going to, whenever I'm using compute error function, it is going to pass simply the parameter, whatever the x value you are taking, y value you are taking, theta value you are taking, the input is divided into this 3 part, then this function can easily compute the error over there. So that is what going to be called as now gradient descent is going to come into picture over there. So gradient descent, it will tell a positive direction how I can minimize the error over there. So our learning model is nothing but this is what the learning model. So the theta new at every step, the theta parameter is going to change. You give one input, theta changes. Second input, it is learning, theta changes. Third input, theta changes. 97 inputs are learned, theta, finally it will result with theta 1 and theta value with stop value. That value, now model is built. Now you are going to give an unknown input. Now you are going to find the error rate over there. So the model's learning rate will be denoted with this C. C is the learning rate over there. So every new theta in each step of learning of the model will be replaced by the old theta values, and then the learning rate of the model that you are having. Learning rate is a probability 1. If you give learning rate as 0.1, then more iterations your program will take. If you give a learning rate as 1, immediately your machine will learn. Even you give a 10 lakh line also, it will learn. But the thing is that you will stuck up with local minima. But you give learning rate as very lesser number, then model will slowly learn, but it will not oscillate with input over there. So the gradient descent function is going to help us. So I have worked out a gradient descent function, how this is going to give optimal value with a simple solution over there. Initially, the function is like this. If you are taking a value 8 means it is giving 36. After you are computing a new value, old value minus the partial derivative when you are computing, it is giving 2. So this 2, if you substitute, directly you can move from 36 to 0. Directly you can move from 36 to 0. So it will try to minimize the error from some level to 0 direction. So that is what is nothing but the gradient descent function is going to help. Due to time I'm running. If minimum point of error, the slope gradient becomes 0. See, no error, then the gradient descent will become 0. When C is low, learning rate is very low, number of iterations it will be taking. C is very high, number of iterations will be less, but come closer to minima, but it will be oscillating. When you give one input, you may think that correct output will come. Another input when you are giving, then another output it will come. Then you will be confusing that the prediction will keep on changing. So it will stuck up. So how to update the parameter? Then you have to find the partial derivative with respect to theta naught and theta 1 you need to compute over there. So theta will be updated simultaneously by taking into our new theta of theta 1 will be old theta plus the learning rate and the partial derivative with respect to theta naught and theta 1 that you are going to compute. Parallelly, you need to compute. You should not compute sequentially, because at a time when it is moving in a particular direction, the gradient descent should be with respect to theta naught as well as theta 1. So the cost function, so I purposely have taken 1 by 2m, because when you are doing, I already told that partial derivation, when you are doing some x thing square, will be 2 into will come. So this 2 to 2 cancel. Finally, you will be getting that 1 by m f of x minus y x naught as theta naught value you are taking. Theta naught parameter will be substituted like this. This equation we found out from the partial derivative and solving the equation. I don't have time, otherwise I will clearly explain. Now with this we have come up with the theta naught. Similarly, we need to solve for theta 1 also. I have come up with theta 1 updation. So every step of machine learning in this y equal to mx plus c, modifying this theta naught and slope and intercept theta naught and theta 1 is going to be based on these two formulas that we found out. Once we know this, directly we can code it in our Python, because we know how to write code in Python. So we are defining gradient descent program over there, and we are defining all these formula, whatever we have derived manually, that thing need to be now written as a coding over here. So that is going to be the explanation for the coding is given at your free time. You can go through that. So you know, for loop in Python will be for I in range of iterations, how many iterations it should run. You can define the iterations how much, and the error rate will be summation of that f of x minus y is there, no? So that was written here. So that thing will be written in two for loop. Directly theta naught and theta 1 taking will be taken into account with the coding like this. We have done this, and this total function gradient descent will help us to do this operation over there. And finally, this function will return a value called the cost will be written by the function over there. The minimal error cost it will try to give. Now we will assume that after 97 values inputs are read, what is the value of theta naught and theta 1 will be the optimal value with respect to the output of gradient descent. And now your model is well built, and with that value you can predict with to any level, plotting the error versus iterations and all. You can accuracy calculation, again you need to use scikit-learn packages over there, then you can directly find the accuracy over there. So the prediction will be, you need to write again a prediction module over there. So you need to collect the input from the user as enter the size of the house. Unknown size is given. Let me say the user is going to give some size over there. That will be feed into your theta naught value found out by your program, theta 1 value found out by your program. That will go and fit into that equation. It will try to give you the value over there. So simple define predict function, enter the size of the house, will get the input from the user. and it will try to, what are all the things will happen for the input also, it need to be normalized, and then theta value need to be found out. After that, it will be supplied to find the difference between the predicted difference between the predicted value and actual output need to be found out over there. Then it needs to tell, it is a regression problem, so continuous output. So I'm outputting it as between this cost to this cost, like that I need to output over there. In when I'm really running, because I don't have time to run and show you, this is a ran output by me. So after computing the error, see my after 97 cross 2 input is given, the error rate was 0.02. My learning rate I have given 1 to quickly run it over there. Iterations 150 iterations I have given. My function ran it and fixed my new theta naught and theta 1 value with the cost thing over there. See, it convergence happens with 150 I have given no iterations it ran, and see theta 1, theta naught, theta 1 values are keep on changing, 1 2 1 2 1 2 like that, keep on changing. After 90 to 97 inputs are taken, then it has been finding out with some error called 5% error. With that it learned. Okay, because it is not a complete information we have given to the model. Now your input is taken, you are giving an input, and that input taken will be you are going to be fit with the equations, and you are going to, your code will, we are writing the input, whatever the input we are taking will be given as an input, no, and it should be plotted, no. So after fitting that 97 input, your line equation with y equal to mx plus c, or theta naught plus theta 1 x line is this red color line, fitted, very well fitted. Now you are going to give your input over there. After this, the predicted output, I'm giving 1 1 1 1 1 input as input. Your house cost will be 33 lakhs to deviation of 0.00366, like that you can give. See, plus or minus some 1 lakh, within 1 lakh I have given to give as output. So it is going to give in that way range, it is going to give as output. But you have to be very clear, your input data given is your Excel data is between starting from ending with 2220 and starting with 502. You should not give a input. Input should be between this range. If you are giving 100 or 10 square feet, then it may not predict the correct value, because the machine was trained to predict any value if you are giving between 500 to 2000 2220 only. If you give, it will correctly give, otherwise it will give you some other random output or error output will be given over there. So you no need to worry about that. With this basics, whatever I have told, you can take any of the model, you can build your model very well, and then you can apply your input on that model, and you can do that. And my one more slide of this is going to give you, sir, what are the machine learning models? There are logistic regression, KNN, SVM, support vector machine, kernel SVM, Naive Bayes, decision trees. Pros and cons are there. When selecting algorithm, you need to look out what are the pros of a particular algorithm and cons of the algorithm. You need to analyze, and then you have to pick up over there. Only one thing is that, see, because I have shown you very toughest code, maybe you are not familiar with the programming, don't think that, see, everything, all these things, sir, I don't want to write this gradient descent code. You have told me, no, sir, I don't know how to write it. Don't worry, your Python package have gradient descent. Give only input. You no need to define your function. This is my own gradient descent function. Already in the package NumPy, all the things are available. You just use that existing gradient descent, existing support vector machine. Simply the model can be called by SVM within a bracket, the input parameter you need to pass, and the output also you have to get it to train, and then it will that is more than enough over there. So in that way, machine learning will be very easy for you. Whatever the algorithm you are taking, everything are available within the package itself. You can utilize very well, utilize the package over there, and any queries you can ask me.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. For your patience
Thank you.
after all those things. You handled the
Right.
session very well. Thank you so much, sir.